One, two, three. One, two, three. Test, one, two, three. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? The program is about to begin. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to Honorable Professor Madya Dr. Hanudin Amin, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Atira binti Kasim. I'm a year 1 student from HE19 and I am beyond grateful to be invited as your moderator for today's program. Before the talk begins, allow me to introduce our speaker, Professor Madya Dr. Hanudin, with a glimpse of his background. Professor Madya Dr. Hanudin is from Pakar, Sabah. He received his Bachelor of Science in International and Offshore Banking (COFSA) IBBM Malaysia in 2002. He received his Master of Business Administration in Islamic Banking and Finance in IIUM Malaysia in 2005. He had his PhD in Islamic Banking and Finance thesis of Consumer Preference and Behavior of Islamic Home Financing, a study of potential home buyers in Malaysia in IIUM with the supervisor from Professor Dr. Abdul Rahim Abdul Rahman and Associate Professor Dr. Zuljasri Abdul Razak in 2014. Dr. Hanudin has 16 years of experience in teaching in UMS. He has several thesis supervision in master's and PhD, published several books and chapters, and also tons of published articles in Scopus SSCI and FSCI. Not forget to mention that he was also listed as one of the best 2% scientists in the world by University of Stanford in Management and Business in 2019. He was also invited as a speaker in the 4th Virtual International Conference of Islamic Banking and Business in Pakistan. He was awarded Best Paper Award Adjudication Panel at International Symposium and Exhibition on Business and Accounting in 2020 at University Technologies National Sultan Ahmad Shah Campus, Pahang, Malaysia. These are just a glimpse of Doctor's achievements and engagement. I have a lot more to deliver, but this is our time for our speaker, Professor Madya Dr. Hanudin, to convey his talk on reviewing in journal articles. Doctor, you may start.
Oke, testing. Dengar kah tu, Atira? Dengar kah? Oke.
Ya.
Oke, macam terbalik saya kamera tu kan. Oke. Ya, terbalik kah tu ya. Nampak saya adjust. Oke, changing ground. Adjust camera resolution mirror. Oke. Datang. Oke, nampak. Oh, terbalik tu. Sorry sekali. Now GPS automatic menu solutions. I think it's like this. Terbalik lah. Macam Pontianak. Sorry. Okay. Macam kita. Okay. 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 Okay, boleh makan mula. Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Perpustakaan Universiti Malaysia Sabah for giving me this very brilliant chance to speak up regarding about reviewing a journal article. Thank you for that, mainly to Sister Tini Hanizam and also our beloved sister today. Wonderful, very precise introduction about me by Sister Atira. Once again, thank you for that. And at the same time, also would like to extend my kind of thankfulness to those who are attending for this session. very brilliant anyway, right? Spending your time just try to attain this particular very brief and little information regarding about peer reviewing in any journal article. Without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen here. I hope everything is a little bit clear, right? So yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, ladies and ladies, first of all, thank you once again, right, for giving your times and extending your time to listen what basically I'm delivering for today, particular very important knowledge sharing, organized by very innovative and creative library in the context of knowledge sharing in Malaysia by University in Malaysia Sabah Perpustakaan UMS. So this is a very brilliant, wonderful thing, and hoping that it can be materialized and to be continuously done from time to times. So as the title implies here, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, reviewing in journal article. So I will be, conveying some of the very important message regarding about the reviewing in journal article. And this is a candy. This is a candy in the context of the academic life. Our main particular concern is basically teaching and also learning. And then at the same time also when it comes for that accelerating the idea of teaching, we need also to add more regarding about research and publication. But along with the line, we have this peer review, considered to be very little, but significant in that sense will be creating a sort of a visibility of that person in front of the other scholar in the world, ladies and gentlemen. So let me begin with attribute of good review. As you can see here, in the first place, a person to be called as a reviewer here should be equipped with necessary reviewing skill. So I believe that everyone familiar what does it mean by reviewing skill, but more importantly, it is related to the critical thinking skill as well as problem solving skill. What is important, ladies and gentlemen, when we are reviewing the article submitted by somebody through the journal platform like Scholar One, for instance, popularized by Emerald Publishing Limited, United Kingdom, basically we can see a numbers of a very good submission. But in that basis, what we are looking here, right, how do we try to ensure this submission will be able to find its leeway to get published with some sort of proper justification and proposal that we can extend in order to ensure the article can be strengthened in terms about the quality. So we are giving here, more importantly, regarding about the critical thinking skill, as well as the problem solving. We have to ensure that at the end, we have the ability to provide a very concrete comment. And that concrete comment will be used by the author in order to improve and strengthen the quality of submission. Please bear in mind, we have to control the way that how do we analyze and review. We are not leaving everything to be a pinpoint or that particular paper influencing our decision, but instead, through our own particular expertise, we can control whether this submission is suitable or not for publication consideration. And along with the line, when we are giving our review, right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to ensure we have to provide a very constructive comment. So this constructive comment will not only give a sort of motivation to the author, but also on the other hand, it will be creating a very good snowball effect in terms about the continuity of the publication to be written by that particular submitter or the author. But instead, we cannot rely on the destructive comment. So when we are talking about destructive comment here, we give a very strong negativity, as if we are one and only in the world that better and better as compared to the Almighty Allah Azza wa Jalla, ladies and gentlemen. But what is important here, in anything that we are doing, we give a proper good comment in the first place, and then we try to pinpoint what basically the advantage related to that particular submission. For example, if the submission is related about the Islamic financing, right, and then I discover one of the particular author related, Professor Monzer Kaf, a very brilliant one. Even there will be some sort of the time, there will be a kind of debate between Professor Dr. Masadul Alam Chaudhuri and also Professor Dr. Monzer Kaf regarding about the Islamic economic, in which Professor Monzer Kaf was mentioning that our Islamic economy is nothing but mimicking the conventional counterpart. But after some of the particular processes, then that professor concur to a certain extent the one that we are having here to be defined at best as Islamic. So what I'm trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, different people will come with a different level of the constructive comments. So, but what is important here, just give away the good things, and the good thing will back to the author. The good thing also will back to me and you, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3, connect your minds. When we are receiving the submission from the author, and the editor is assigned the article to be reviewed by me and you as a lecturer, as a researcher, as an author, we have to ensure that we are able to feel the rhythm of the submission. We're able to go deep and deep what the message to be conveyed by the submitter or the author. And more importantly, we have to connect our mind. And this is can only be materialized the moment that we scan and get through the paper in a very comprehensive manner. And more importantly, at least about 3 reading to be made. 3 reading, so not only one, but at least 3 times, day and night if possible. Number 4, meticulous. So when we are considering ourselves as a reviewer, we have to ensure, right, all of us, when we are giving comment, especially about the article submitted, should be detailed. They should consider the why and also the how. There are 2 particular questions that need to be answered, importantly, by the reviewer in analyzing and reviewing the work submitted by the author. Firstly, why this topic? Secondly, how this topic is important. Like what I have gone through in the past, there was a time whereby a paper submitted to this journal, and the journal editor was contacted me to review the article. Then I reviewed the article, and the article is related about something about Malaysia, generally speaking. Then one of the very important comment that I have to render during that time was, why Malaysia? Why Malaysia is very important in order for you to study this context. Like in the case of Islamic banking, right? Islamic banking in Malaysia, it was initiated in 1981, and only to be materialized in 1983. But the context of Islamic banking during that time, because we are aiming to consider a proper patronization, whereby Sharia factor is a must to be considered. So coming back to the point here, meticulous, need to be detailed. And there are 2 questions that need to be answered here. Why and how? Why and how? Why this study? Why this method? Why this sample? And how it can be materialized and how can be achieved? More importantly, meticulous. Ataupun dalam bahasa kebangsaan, perincian. Perincian. Good heart. Reviewer also need to have this good heart, ladies and gentlemen. Sincerity and honesty. When we are trying to review the work submitted by the author, we have to ensure that we are helping at best, to ensure at the end the work can be published with very good quality. And then we are not really concerned very much about competition here. Do not worry about that. But we are complementing. We are complementing each other as the group of the scholar, as the group of academician. For instance, if I receive one of the article related about the Islamic accounting, and Islamic accounting is my particular sustenance in the academic world, for example, right? So I cannot comment in a very negative way. I just try to provide my best, to ensure that the article can be published. And then at the end, we can share together the beauty of that publication through the literature analysis, whereby there will be more and more on you. A particular study can be conducted in the same area of Islamic accounting. So even I do Islamic accounting, but somebody are doing the same thing, but that kind of a thing will not be considered as a competition, but to be considered as a complementing each other. Saling melengkapi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. And number 6 here, timing. When we are doing the review, right? As a reviewer here, we have to a little bit sacrifice our times. In my case, this is my case. Everyone can have your own particular wisdom, whether you are doing the review during the working hours, right, or after the working hours. In my practice, normally I will be considering to review the work at 12 midnight. 12 midnight. There will be a time whereby I will be reviewing the article at 12 midnight. Why midnight? Because I need a kind of silent environment, number one. And number two, here it is the ideal time in which they are able to generate more particular idea how to review and how to give feedback properly to the manuscript submitted to the journals. So I hope that at best some of you will realize about the attribute of good reviewer here. And we go directly, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, when we are talking about the categories of reviewer, right? As you can see here on your screen, I try to break them down into 4 categories. The first one, I call it as a SODE. You can pronounce, you can name in a different versions of pronunciation, right? SODE, and the second one will be HADE. The third one will be SOSU, and the fourth one is HASU. So based on my experience, this is based on my experience, ladies and gentlemen, as an editor, as an associate editor, guest editor, reviewer, and also author. So I discover the review can be classified into these particular categories. Some of them basically will be more soft in terms of giving feedback, but that kind of softness is fully equipped with the detailed prescriptions of the analysis regarding about the evaluation to be made directly to the manuscript. So in all, as you can see here, the best practice, accordingly based on mine, but I leave individual to decide the best here. But in my perspective, I convey the character should be soft in the first place. And the second one is the detailed description to be provided. Why do I have to mention this, ladies and gentlemen? Because I'm following the context of the prophetic point of view, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and also Imam Al-Ghazali regarding about writing, regarding about tongue. So when we are trying to provide a very good comment, that good comment will be mounting and will be generating multiple spillover effect, whereby that will be able to create a very good intellect in a very integrated matter. So which means that I'm not only alone to be sophisticated in the area concerned, but also there will be a number of success to be developed, because the world is a very, very round, right? Ups and down, left and right. So today we are here, tomorrow we die, so on, so forth, ladies and gentlemen. So I need to consider in the first place very soft and very detailed when it comes for giving comment, ladies and gentlemen. So definition of peer review here, as you can see, everyone can define accordingly, right? But in my perspective here, through my own observation, as a lecturer, as a student in the past, or even as a researcher supervisor, then this is the very a good part that I can share with all of you. What does it mean by peer review here? It is the evaluation to be done by a very qualified person, and that qualified person in the area concerned. So if the article is related about the Islamic financing, so I can choose, there will be a numbers of inventory available in Malaysia. I can develop my own database using Excel, for instance. Okay, when I come for the Islamic financing, so I can go to Associate Professor Dr. Zuljastri Abdul Razak at IIUM. And then when I'm trying to highlight regarding about the zakat, then I can go to Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia by inviting a friend of mine in the past, Dr. Muhammad Paisal. And then when I try to understand regarding about wakaf, I can go to Islamic Business School at Universiti Utara Malaysia. So I have this very knowing information regarding about qualified expert. So as you can see here, internal reviewer or external reviewer, what makes a difference between the two here, ladies and gentlemen? There are two particular, I mean, a kind of, so just try to, yeah, here. Okay, this one. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry for the technicality. Okay, perkongsian saja tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. Okay, what does it mean by the internal reviewer here? If the article submitted come with the names of the author, so the person that will be in charge, to evaluate the particular manuscript will be internal reviewer. And that can be found exactly from the URL of the journal website directly, ladies and gentlemen. If the name is provided, right? So the internal review will be examining it in more detail. However, in the very contemporary practices around the globe, so what we are looking here is about external reviewer. And the external reviewer here, the moment the article is submitted to the editor will be assigned the manuscript to a numbers of very qualified associate editor ataupun editor bersekutu. Then the associate editor will be submitting the article to me. Say, for example, in this case, I am the external reviewer. So provided there will be no name indication in that particular thing, right? But what is very beautiful when it comes to the external here, due to the fact that there is no conflict of interest. There's no conflict of interest. There is no bias, ladies and gentlemen. So, right, just try to share the content here. Okay, screen one. Share. Okay. And the reason why the peer review is needed is to ensure at the end the article submitted or the manuscript submitted will be able to meet certain standard for acceptance. Very important, ladies and gentlemen. In my lifeline, for example, as an academician, I believe even I can write the article properly. Trust me, I have to read at least about 3 times before the article can be submitted. But during the daytimes, the time will be more limited, but then there will be extra reading that I have to make at home. So becoming a lecturer like the one I'm having here, the model of me is a little bit uh, difficult. The moment that the knowledge is a priority, the work need to be extended, crossing different horizons of the places of the geographical area, ladies and gentlemen. So in more detail, as you can see here, in a very good environments as academicians, as a reviewer, there are at least about three major particular manuscripts that we have to review, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, very, very common to all of you, a journal article. And secondly, thesis. And the third one is book. So this considered to be very, very common material or manuscript that to be reviewed by the reviewer. But the thing that very important when it comes to the knowledge exchange here currently is based on the journal article submission. So as you can see here, once again, manuscript evaluation process, definition of the peer review undertaken by relevant experts to meet the journal standards. We cannot submit the article to a person who are not able to understand the area or the paradigm of inquiry. So we have to ensure the submitted article needs to be evaluated, reviewed by somebody who is knowledgeable in the area concerned. So in order to ensure the process can be materialized or can be implemented properly, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that we have to understand, we need to be educated in the area concerned. And then it is reasonable if you have a bachelor degree in the discipline concerned, at least bachelor degree. If you have SPM, then it will be very difficult to review the academic world, right? I'm not saying I'm not going to underestimate or belittle those of the SPM holder, but this is the academic world. It needs to become with a proper credential. So just imagine today, right? We have the social media people can publish anything, can review anything, can criticize anything, but it is not related merely from that ground. But when it comes to the academic world here, it should be supported with a very good fact, statistical requirement, and also proper justification. And along with the line, one should also come with a proper experience in the area concerned, at least as an author. And that is why, as an academic, I can recall back, I was joining UMS in 2003. And then after that, I managed to complete my master degree in 2005. And then I believe, what is my worldview as an academician? What is my worldview as an academician? Some say, what is my paradigm of inquiry? Right? So the thing that it is kind of a very proper consideration here. We are not only as a teacher, a lecturer, but also as a reviewer when it comes for the academic exercise like this one. So I have to initiate everything by putting down the pen and write what is considered to be article and to be submitted to a conference as well as to a very unknown perspective of the journal without any kinds of indexation. But it's okay. For the kick-off, it's better to make a try, especially in order to develop ourselves as a reviewer. And one also, on the other hand, should have expertise. So how to develop that expertise? There can be a numbers of ways, ladies and gentlemen. Number one is through reading. Keep on reading. As an academician, keep on reading. Maybe today I read about this Islamic economic paradigm based on the Tawhidic perspective promoted by Professor Dr. Masudul Alam Chaudhuri at University Trisakti Jakarta, for example. But then later I read about the article written by Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabir Hassan from United States of America. Then later I read. And the reading here should be continuously done. And a very proper time to make a very good reading, right? Whereby in the morning. In the morning, when we are performing our solar, and then after all, we have a very small time, and that time will be proper. Just try to make a good reading. But in my case, the reading should be printed out in the first place. I have to print out the article, then I can scan and also look into the abstract, then look into the finding, and more importantly, I have to look at novelty or the new thing communicated by the manuscript. So I can develop my own expertise. And then along with the line also, I have to ensure this thing becoming as a culture. So as a culture here, we can contact the editor, offer your own particular credential to review. I have done this earlier, ladies and gentlemen. I connected to Professor Dr. Muhammad Fahim Khan, and I also connected to Professor Dr. Benjolali, introduced the model of Mushraka Mutanakisa. And I also contacted some of the Professor Berol Vision in 1978, the work written by Professor Monzer Kaf, and try to connect with all of them, all regions. And then one of the very peculiar thing regarding about this author, they don't publish in SCCI, but they publish in very good books, ladies and gentlemen, because the context and the concern here is related about the imperialism in knowledge. And the context of IIUM, for example, it promotes the IOK, Islamization of knowledge, Islamization of knowledge. And today we are promoting ROT, Islamization of theory to a certain extent. So then don't just reject the work submitted immediately. Not like that, ladies and gentlemen. We have to look at the merits in the first place. So what would be the advantages, the contribution that can be extracted from the manuscript. And then if it is related about the current situation, for example, we have the endemic pace whereby the governments are facing a numbers of tragedy when it comes to the price increment through the imported goods, as well as to the scarcity when it comes to the food supply related to the food security. Now the government having some sort of integration with the state government in order to ensure that at the end of the day, the food security will be a priority, as if we are going back to 1970s based on dasar ekonomi baharu. So look at its merit and be empathize. Kenalah, when we are trying to review the work, we have to ensure that we have this person. We need to provide assistance to this person in order to ensure at the end of the day, the article can be published. And then let me share with all of you my experience, right? In 2007, I was submitted my work alone during that time because at the faculty, Labuan Faculty of International Finance in the past to be known as Sekolah Perniagaan dan Kewangan Antarabangsa Labuan SPCAL during that time. And the culture is a little bit marginal when it comes to the publications, but I'm making a kind of kick-off. And then I submit the article to the editor, and the editor here managing one of the very good and reputed journal, Q1. And I'm submitting everything right from A to Z according to the format and standard of the journal. And then a very good payback received after 6 months. After 6 months, and that professor resided in UAE, but originated from Australia. Because the paycheck in UAE is very lucrative as compared to the homeland of the professor. And the comment is very, very good given by the professor. And more importantly, right, I kind of sharing regarding about the language use. And the problem of the Malaysian when submitting the article to the global international journal is the language use. It is not our mother tongue. Even my case here, my mother tongue is not Bahasa Melayu. but bahasa bajau. But I don't care about that. We are Malaysian in many contexts, right, ladies and gentlemen? But that professor gave me from A to Z how to review, revise alone without anyone to assist me. Then after all, I'm contacting Professor Tiramaya for the future collaborations, a kind of thing, right? So which means that in order to be very, very successful as an academician, plus as a reviewer here, we need to develop proper credential through this collaboration, ladies and gentlemen. I just like kind of sharing here. But more importantly, it's about empathy, empathy when it comes for the evaluation. Jangan reject lah kan, kita baca apa yang baik tentang artikel, kita baca apa yang indah tentang artikel. Contohlah dalam mana setiap individu di dunia ni mesti ada baiknya, walaupun orang tu ada jahat, mesti ada baiknya. Trust me, it happened, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, type of peer review here, typically based on my experience as well. As you can see here, there are three particular types. The first one will be open review. The second one, single blind, and the third one will be double blind. So what does it mean by open review here? The author knows the reviewer. The reviewer knows the author. This is open review. Is it available or is it happen currently? Okay, there are some journals, especially in Indonesia. The author can pinpoint who is the potential reviewer because that particular journal provide the list of the reviewer. And the author will familiar with the reviewer comment the moment that the submission to be taken place at least about 3 times. 3 manuscripts submitted to the same journal. Then we know about the trend, the similarity of giving the comment by the reviewer. In more detail, that comment will be used by the author, to strengthen the quality of the submission. This is related to the open review. And then on the other hand, we have single blind. There are two perspectives here. The first, the author did not know the reviewer. And then on the other hand, the reviewer know about the author. And then on the other hand, the author know the reviewer and the reviewer do not know the author. Single blind, there are two perspectives. Okay. And on the other hand, last but not least, we have a double blind here. For the double blind here, ladies and gentlemen, the author did not know the reviewer. And on the other hand, the reviewer do not know the author. This is very, very typical and can be found in many contexts of the journal article submission review process. Even in Malaysia, for example, the ASEAN Academic of Management Journal, or even the journal pengurusan, or even the journal that we are having at our faculty here, Labuan Bulletin, or even the Labuan Journal of Muamalat, we are considering very much about double blind. The reason basically for two particular consideration. The first one, objectivity. Objectivity. There will be no bias. There will be no bias. If everyone to be known each other, right, there will be some sort of the helping bias in that context, which is not really thorough in terms about the analysis given, just to help the person or the friend to publish the work. And then on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, is try to avoid any kind of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Because there was a problem associated with the product of review. When the review outcome is very negative, the author can take actions, ladies and gentlemen. Because in many particular perspective of the both of, editorialship, for example, when it comes for the journal, in the context of email publishing, see the author, on the other hand, can provide or can submit any kinds of a question if the comment given is not very, very satisfying, very negative. Negativity lead the way. So that is very important, right, to protect this kind of concern, which we consider as the conflict of interest. Okay, process in peer review. Okay, as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, brother and sister, there are several steps here. We begin by looking at the author, and then the author submit the manuscript, the second one, and the editor here, associate editor, will be selecting reviewer and reviewer two. As you can see here, right, this particular function can be, changed from time to time. Some of the editor, like the one that I'm attached to, Journal of Islamic Accounting and Business Research at the Emira Publishing Limited in United Kingdom. Basically, if the member of the editorial board, is submitting the article to the journal, the editor will take the action. The editor will take the action to submit rather than to submit to the associate editor for the peer reviewer selection, typically. And then after all, the reviewer here will provide comment, recommendation, and as you can see here, revise. But the best part here in my lifeline, right, the revision will take place. Ini jarang berlaku lah. Ini selalu, always be. But do not worry, the decline whatsoever here is a kind of process of learning. In many contexts, when I was submitted manuscript is not accepted by the journal editor, do not worry about that much, ladies and gentlemen. Do not feel down. Do not feel down and just try to accelerate the way of doing things. Do submit to the other journal, because the other journal will evaluate your work highly as compared to the previous journal. So in many cases, I have gone through the process like this. So I submit, there was a case when I was submitting one manuscript, and then this 5 journal article rejected my manuscript. But then one article, very good one, Q1, managed to receive my article. So it's a kind of, effort here. Just start to put the TEME, our time, our effort, our money, and also our energy, to ensure the thing can be materialized. On the other hand, it can be best reflected as this one. Number one, submission. Number two, the quality check. So we'll be doing the quality check is basically the management of the general admin. The administrative staff will be calling and selecting the here.
Hello, Doctor.
Yeah, sorry for that technical problem, ladies and gentlemen, just now. Okay, just try to continue. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just try to proceed here, right? And then after all, in my practice at the Emira Publishing Limited at the general level, basically I will be selecting at least about five reviewer, for the benefit of the author. I have to select because the result will be proper for me to select which of these will be better. In many cases, I will be considering only two product of the review outcome. The other one can be considered as a complement only to a certain extent. Then after all, as an associate editor, ladies and gentlemen, then the decision can be decided, but I'm not the one to decide everything. The moment the associate editor to provide recommendation, only a recommendation. I repeat, the associate editor only provide recommendation. The one to decide whether the article need to be accepted as is, to be revised, or to be rejected is nothing but editor. So you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, right? So just go further. I have provided you this lecture. Okay, of this, which one is sharpest? So I mean, typically, right, ladies and gentlemen, if anyone can answer these questions, I give you a token of appreciation. Okay, the first here, brain. The second is dagger. The third is tongue. The fourth, a sword, and the fifth is a gillette. So you can have this five particular item to be considered whether they are or which of these considered to be sharpest in many cases, right? So yeah, a lot of you, right, suggesting the C here, this kind of thing here. Yeah, you're correct, ladies and gentlemen. The tongue here is believed and also expressed by Imam Al-Ghazali, but how it can be related to the context of peer review. Okay, let me try to provide you a kind of thing here, right? Okay, for example, ladies and gentlemen, tongue today is well known as the written statement. You can find, especially on social media platform, whereby everyone is a publisher, this and that whatsoever, right? When good, the end will good. When bad, the end will bad. So what we can consider as a reviewer here, we are considering the former, the good things as a shield for wellness. In the academic world, on the other hand, when the good thing is provided, so at the end of the day, we can create a very good pool of scholar, and this scholar will be mounting, becoming as a snowball to generate more member, and the member will be contributing very much in generating new knowledge. That is why it's very important as a good peer reviewer. There was a case happened at UMS last time. There was a professor submitted this article related about not related to my social science research, but related to the science research. But the article was submitted to the person not very familiar with the topic concerned, not familiar. But the comment Allahu, ladies and gentlemen, very, very harsh and very, very negative. And then just try to compare. In reality, right, if the editor try to expose the reviewer, try to expose the author, then you can see how the conflict of interest comes into play. But still, the very good thing from the context of that professor, just try to revise the necessary and resubmit once again, and then the editor decide the best. And the editor decide the best to accept the manuscript, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a time like that. Or even in my case, I was submitting one of the particular article this year. Even there will be some sort of a cracking in my mind here, but then I can receive a very negative comment from that author, and then believe it, I knew the author because I know about the trend, right? When you I mean, intervening, mixed together with the academician life, and then you know about the people, how they write. Just try to look the style of the writing, then we can familiar. But I don't bother about the comment, just try to provide the feedback. At the end of the day, the article is accepted because the one and only to make the final decision, the final verdict is not the reviewer, it's not the associate editor, but the editor. That will be a proper practice, ladies and gentlemen. So how to review here? There are at least about 3 stages. based on my experience. Yang ni berpandukan pengalaman diri tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. The first one, the preparation stage, we have to read the abstract properly. Ensure that you are familiar with key issue discussed. Bacalah kan, kita baca ni macam hobi lah, macam baca surat khabar. You can read, right? The thing that considered to be important, read. There will be highlight, right? Mainly the abstract. If within your expertise, at best, agree. Within your expertise, within your knowledge, scope, right? Then you agree, and otherwise, just try to decline. Tapi boleh terima lah, kalau nak terima artikel tu boleh dengan syarat kita cuba dalami apa yang cuba disampaikan oleh penulis. Terutamanya penulis daripada Iran, in my experience in Iran, from the Iran, right? Their own language is very beautiful. It's not beautiful in that sense, it's easy to be understood, but more than poetic. Berbunga-bunga, tapi bunga yang tak boleh diterima, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. But I just try to give leeway a kind of chance, right? I look into it and then just try to submit to reviewer for my my second opinions, for my second opinion. Then the final verdict will be based on the editor, and the editor will rely on my recommendation. Repeat, the associate editor provide recommendation. The final verdict is editor. Evaluation stage here, read the manuscript entirely, understand its whereabout, check for plagiarism if possible. Mainly at the University Malaysia Sabah, we have this Turnitin, easily accessed, right? So I think all of you familiar with the use of Turnitin, right? So very easy to be accessed and to be paid by the library or Perpustakaan UMS. Just try to optimize the use of Turnitin. Very good for me and you, ladies and gentlemen. And check this element if available, intro, literature review, methodology, and this all reflecting head, body, and tail paradigm need to be synchronized. And furthermore, if criteria are not provided, the item whatsoever, right? Evaluate the manuscript section by section, explain with justification drawn from the why and the how. If criteria are provided, evaluate the manuscript by answering all the criteria required. Explain with justification emanated from the why and how. Right, and on the other hand, we need also to add extra knowledge when necessary to improve the quality of the submissions. Contoh lah kan, the person always be using, for example, here at all 2006 in terms about the sample selection. Why not? Why not provide statistical inferences, statistical calculation, how the sample size is derived. Itu cadangan lah untuk memperindahkan dan untuk memberi anggun kepada penulisan yang disemak dan dinilai oleh pewasit. Kita tahulah kan, in our context, reviewer in English, in our mother tongue is pewasit. Pewasit ni adalah reviewer. Okay, conclusion stage here at the end. Once it is completed, take 1 day holiday. Do not submit, ladies and gentlemen. Take one, in my practice, take one day holiday, and then the other day later, just try to look into it, and you can discover some sort of additional point that can be included. The best practice here. If can be helped and assisted, then we can provide a recommendation whereby the article can be published, provided some of the particular flaw are rectified. Kalau tak boleh dibantu, bagi tahu sah tak boleh. So kenapa tak boleh dibantu? Contohlah pengalaman kan diri sebagai pewasit. Ada hamba Allah ni dia hantar artikel dekat jurnal Q2. Masalah artikel berkenaan adalah format dia. Dia buat artikel tu seolah-olah dia syok sendiri, SS. Tak boleh tuan-tuan, tak boleh. dia kena diberi format berpandukan pada kerangka yang telah dirungkaikan oleh jurnal berkenaan. We have to follow strictly the format of the journal. Otherwise, they will be creating some sort of a debate regarding about the comprehensions of the reviewer, regarding about the willingness of the editor to send out the article for review. Okay, one day, typically for the preparation stage, normally in my case 2 weeks, but there will be a occasion that it took me about 1 month when the article is very difficult to be understood due to the synchronization in terms about language use, as well as no evidence regarding about the synthesis when it comes to the literature review. So, and I believe that to a certain extent, right, ladies and gentlemen, this thing also very important to be highlighted. Don'ts and also do's. Do's and also don'ts. Kalau bolehlah kan kita amalkanlah budaya membantu dan juga mewasitkan artikel dalam konteks akademik. So benda ni pun dipanggil sebagai padu kifayah. Bantu-membantu dalam kalangan ahli, as promoted by the Quranic verse right by Surah Al-Ma'idah. We help you from one to another and righteous and also piety, but not in wrinkle and also sins. Bantu-membantu dalam hal kebaikan dan bukan bantu-membantu dalam hal kejahatan. Allahu Amin. We extend our own particular, saying the dua, prayer today, ladies and gentlemen. So as you can see here, I just try to provide a very brief regarding about diagram relating about the kind of drawing regarding about the vehicle here, the cars. So this is that will be the best part here, right? Your manuscript submitted look feel like this. But the moment after the peer review will be the same thing. But in my experience, right, there will be a time whereby as an associate editor, I discovered the manuscript submitted like this, but then after all, there are many things that need to be adjusted. The rule of associate editor is very important. Select proper reviewer outcome. Itu pasal dalam konteks saya pilih 5 orang. Saya hanya pilih 2 orang sahaja. The final verdict. Before I can make it my own recommendation, to ensure Professor Dr. Ros Hanifah from the UK can evaluate my recommendation whether she agree or not. Then after all, a final decision to be made after within 1 month at least. Banyak proses lah. Jadi penulisan jurnal ni melibatkan banyak orang dan melibatkan banyak proses. Tapi hasil dia indah tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. Apatah lagi dalam dunia akademik. Mainly when you are writing your journal article in English. Kita bukan merendahkan martabat bahasa kebangsaan, tetapi untuk menerobosi puncak ataupun pancak dalam konteks penulisan global, we have to exercise to write at best in English. Like the one to be promoted by Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Their own official language is nothing but Bahasa Malaysia. But when it comes to the writing research, they're eager to write in English. Sebab itu dia punya ranking lebih baik berbanding universiti kita. But we are trying. We are never not to make a try, but we are trying to ensure at the end of the day, this university will be better in terms about their ranking. But I always believe in rating rather than ranking. But I kind of debate to be the right letter, right? So in more detail, a kind of experience here. On my right, as you can see, don'ts. Your problem statement is rubbish. Jangan cakap belakang. This thing is not supposed to happen. The words determine our own reflections, our own character. Because the moment that we are providing a very sarcastic terminology, then it will kill the motivation. And then some people, they're believing about the feedback, the pet-op whatsoever, right? But in the context of Islamic perspective, we are, giving some sort of, lesson that we need to help each other, especially to improve the quality work done. So your problem statement is rubbish should be avoided. The theory chosen is suitable in psychological study, but not in your team. This is also the very negative comment. How come your literature review like this, like a child? Ni benda pernah berlaku, ataupun dia cakap, wow, you have poor methodology. Does it better or bitter? Itu ada pernah berlaku lah tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. You live in your standard, the analysis are poor. My son English is better than you work. Itu pun ada juga tu. Padahal anak dia bukannya pandai pun, sorry to say. Because in reality, right, in the academic world, we are keep on learning from time to time. The thing is basically mounting better in many contexts. So we are keep on doing, keep on learning to improve our own particular writing. Because the English for the general article is not the same like the English that you can find, especially at the primary school, secondary school, or even when you go to the linguistic, the other particular department, right? We have totally different. Even people that will be saying, you can send this article to the outsourcing to this particular department. Still, based on my experience, right, the reading, I submitted, I did an experiments in the past. I did experiments and I submitted this manuscript to this proofreader, and then a numbers of particular comment adjustment, and then I submitted to this particular proofreader, and there will be a numbers of it. But at least I learned a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But there will be a numbers of contradiction from one to another. But the one that to make a final decision will be the author. The author will be making the final decision regarding about the product of the proofreading, the moment that we are looking into the synchronization whatsoever was relating about the final point of the English use, ladies and gentlemen. Sebenarnya tak ada juga masalah. Yang penting maksud tu boleh disampaikan. Ikutlah satu persatu susunan bahasa Inggeris dalam jurnal berkenaan. Sebelum hantar jurnal ataupun artikel ke jurnal berkenaan, kena bacalah. Kena baca dan dalami contoh yang baik. Barulah kita boleh buat keputusan untuk menulis. So on the other hand here, right, on my left, your problem statement is not educate. Can you add statistical figures to make it better? Something that can be acceptable. Can you add at least 2 reasons why this theory is suitable? Itu pun bagus juga lah. Kita kena bagi cadangan untuk menambah baik artikel yang dihantar. Bukan kita mengurangkan motivasi. Your literature review need more exposition and synthesis. So dalam dunia penulisan akademik, terutamanya dalam social science, perlu ada nilai sintesis. Perlu juga ada sebenarnya kalau kita lihat pada dewasa ini, ramai individu yang cuba memperkenalkan SLR, Systematic Literature Review. Itu adalah produk dalam konteks sains. Sama juga dalam konteks penulisan, 6 orang dalam satu makalah yang diwarisi oleh bidang sains, bukan dalam bidang sastra. Tapi telah menjadi sebahagian darah daging dalam konteks penulisan social science, including Islamic banking. Your methodology should include more statistical justification to strengthen, can be like this. Your analysis should explain the reason behind the significant outcome for improved flow of the knowledge obtained. Kena bagi tahulah, jelaskan kan, supaya membolehkan apa yang kita cuba tekankan tu boleh disampaikan dengan baik. Ada sebab kenapa signifikan, kenapa nombor 1.96, apa maksud 1.96. And if you found the language is not up to the standard, suggest self-proofreading. Boleh baca juga tuan-tuan. Kalau kita dah menulis banyak, kita tahu bahasa yang macam mana kita boleh pakai. Tak ada masalah. Because in my experience, right, bahasa Inggeris tu lebih senang berbanding bahasa kebangsaan. So kalau kita belajar bahasa kebangsaan dari segi diphthong, dari segi linguistik, Allahu. I mean, I have the experience, so it's not easy. But English is will be straightforward, ladies and gentlemen. So furthermore, these 8 best practices in my case here. The first one, always read the entire manuscript before making any comment. Bacalah keseluruhan kan. I mean, enjoying to make a reading because as academicians, this is the way of knowledge sharing and generating new perspective. Number two, always put yourself in someone else's shoe. Kenalah ada nilai empati. Number three, don't return the result to the editor while it is still hot. Habis hari ini jangan hantar tuan-tuan. Simpan dulu untuk sehari. Minum teh tarik and watching the movie at best, right? The thing that I'm doing. Number four, always use simple vocabulary when commenting. Kena guna bahasa yang senang dipahami lah dalam kita memberi komentar. Sebab yang penting message tu boleh disampaikan. Bukan dalam konteks penulisan artikel-artikel yang ditulis boleh dalam bahasa yang penuh dengan bombastic, very, very profound vocabulary. But when it comes to the comment here, it should be very, very precise, clear. The message should be able to be understood by the author, ladies and gentlemen. Always give constructive comment yang membina. Don't give the destructive or the membinas comment, right? Destructive comment is very, very negative. Always offer yourself to review the same manuscript till acceptance. In the past, let me try to share with you when it comes for Emira Publishing. In the past, what they are doing, they just try to submit once the article to the reviewer. In the past, in 1990s. But today, no longer, ladies and gentlemen. There will be at least about, in my experience, at least about 5 rounds. Hari ini kita hantar artikel tahun 2022. Diterbitkan pada tahun 2024. Itu pasal consideration should be given priority. Penilaian tu kena bersifat longitudinal. Dia bukan berukuran pada hari ini, tapi kena berpanjangan, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. And number 7 here, supply a key sheet that recommend where to rectify the paper limitation. Kalau boleh, berilah pendapat kan, bagi dia komentar dan sebagainya. Like the one that suggested by one of the very beloved reviewer, Professor Dr. Roslin from Universiti Utara Malaysia. I can receive very good review by that particular professor regarding about giving extra knowledge, extra detail by providing a separate sheet on it, and then the author can look into it and to improve the article, not only regarding about the idea, but also regarding about the English use. Don't review paper that is not from your discipline of knowledge. So, ladies and gentlemen, 8 best practices. Last but not least, inilah sebuah sedikit sebelum kita tutup perjumpaan hari ini lah kan, tuan-tuan. Kita santai saja. Okay, number 1, financial reward. Okay, in Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, you can go to this International Journal of Banking and Finance from Universiti Utara Malaysia. They provide that incentive. You review one article, the university will pay you $100. More importantly, but if you review an article from Bank Indonesia, Journal of Islamic Monetary Economics and Finance, Scopus today, the journal will give you $300 US dollar. Very good money, ladies and gentlemen. Very good money to a certain extent. Just I mean, a kind of tea break, right? You can have this satire whatsoever. Just try to celebrate that kind of reviewing process. But it is not about the true notions of this financial reward. But what is important here is about moral support. We provide support to the author. We provide support to the editor and also to the journals. Okay, Pablon and certification. So the Pablon also provide you a sort of a kind of information, providing you the accounting of your journal article review outcomes, kind of repository. You can refer to that particular Pablon. Just try to Google whatsoever, right? You can find out that there will be some sort of the outcome of your review work to be recorded. Number 3 here, human risk. This is also another issue, right? Because, for example, my professor submitted the article to the journal, and then I'm the one to review the work of my professor. Kena hati-hati lah. baca dari segi trend dan sebagainya. Dan bila bagi komentar kena dalam konteks yang bersederhana, tuan-tuan dan puan sekalian. University recognition, yes, this is yet to be given priority, especially at our level at UMS. Probably in the future, it will be considered as one of the very good important indicator. But for time being, it's only a very part of the small portion of it. But in the future, can be becoming as a very big hallmark for the performance appraisal. And on the other hand, we have plagiarism. Plagiarism pun penting lah. Sebagai pewasit kena lihat betul-betul. Kena guna pakai Turnitin, kena lihat betul-betul tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian sebab nama kita, our name, right? Our name will be basically marked because of the article published. Then there will be a point of view in the recording system, right? Indicating I'm the person to be blamed because I'm the reviewer. Jadi kena tahulah implikasi dia. Culture of peer review, yeah, in the future probably we can initiate by having this kind of very continuous effort of knowledge sharing and just a kind of this today occasion or session organized by Perpustakaan UMS. So before I end everything, right, ladies and gentlemen, let me try to share with all of you regarding about the important thing. Okay, again, okay, this one. Okay, let's try to stop here for a while. Okay, let me try to share with you. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just try to share with you, right? For example, in order for you to ensure that you will be able to understand the numbers of the journal article available, you can type this schemago, right? And this one, and just go here, for example. Then you can find out plenty of the journal article. It's not sorry, plenty of journals platform whereby you can submit your article and to be reviewed by the reviewer appointed by the journal. Okay, for example, in this case, right, I can look at the journal ranking here. Just try to go here and then, for example, right, I go to highlight this all subject, right? Just try to check this business management and accounting, the field that I'm concentrated with today. And for the all subject category, what I can do, just try to consider this one. You can have a look at numbers of it, ladies and gentlemen. But in my case here, just try to consider business management and accounting in bracket miscellaneous. So, and then I can confine my own searching. Say, for example, I just try to consider Malaysia, my country, our country, right? I just try to consider Malaysia here. Just try to click this one. And all type here, just try to consider journal. So the rationale of why having this schemago, right? At the end, you can contact the editor. Oh, editor, I would like to become a reviewer. Yeah, I can be done properly, ladies and gentlemen. So you can find out that in Malaysia, we have this Academy of Management Journal, Institution Economy, but there will be also excluded list, right? In the case of Malaysia, in the case of Universiti Malaysia Sarawak, it come with this International Journal of Business and Society, considered as also the Scopus Index, whereby you can offer yourself. For example, I used to collaborate with this Sun Academy of Management Journal. I just try to click this particular URL. Then you can go directly to the homepage here. Then you can find out there will be some sort of the Q2, Q1, this is called tile, right? Indicating about the quality of it to a certain extent. And just try to go the home here, and then you can go directly. There will be some sort of particular, information regarding about the journal. Then what you can offer, you can go directly to the editor here. Then you can contact Professor Tiramaya, for example. You can contact him, Prof, I would like to become a reviewer. Offer yourself. Tak ada masalah tu. This professor is very, very friendly, and I think all of you familiar with him, right? And then on the other hand, this is from the context of ASEAN Academy of Management Journal. At the same time, also, ladies and gentlemen, you can also consider, for example, right, the what we can do here. The beauty of becoming a reviewer here, you can find out under Pablon, right? Pablon, for example. So this one. But some of the information is not up to date, but more importantly, will provide you a kind of certifications. Say, for example, just try to make it a quick reference here. Like in my case here, right, just try to consider this one. Tapi ada maklumat, ada artikel tu yang tidak dikemas kini. Macam dalam kes saya tak kemas kini lah sebab membazir masa tuan-tuan. Let the system automatically try to update, right? I don't have time because the publication here is about 32 but not 32 my publications. Tak ada masa nak buat ni lah. So benda ni lecture sikit lah kan sana sini. So just not consider that much. So for example, right, the moment that you are reviewing the article, then this platform, Pablon, will be giving you a kind of reward, something like this, right? You can write down your name. For example, in my case here, just try to write down my name, Hanudin, and then I put down University, Malaysia, Sabah, right? Then you can find here, just consider, yeah, this one. Then just try to confine the category here. In my case, business and economy and business, sorry. Then the name will be appear like this. I mean, a kind of benefit that we can generate directly by having this involvement in as a reviewer. And then on the other hand, at the university level, right, we have turned 18. Just try to utilize this one. For example, right, in order to check the submissions is considered to be free from any plagiarism. And this one is subscribed by UMS. Just try to use this documents. Then just try to click something like this. Use your particular email, and then I extend my gratitude to the library of UMS, right, and giving me this access. Then you can perform the quick submit here directly, and then you can submit here. And then when you are doing the submission, make sure just try to check this, and check this also, all of them, right? And then submit paper to standard under note. Change to no repository. Apa maksud dia? Maksud dia kalau kita letak no repository, dia tak akan simpan. Contoh saya belajar dekat Universiti Nicaragua, Nicaragua. Selepas tu saya balik Malaysia. Tapi saya buat proses turn 18 di universiti berkenaan. Dan bila saya balik di Malaysia, saya simpan sebagai repository kan, macam ni. Ini berbahaya tuan-tuan. Saya tak boleh delete, melainkan saya pergi menghubungi pegawai berkenaan. Kalau pegawai tu tiada, Allahu, dia akan hidup dalam sistem sampai bila-bila. Itu pasal kita kena tekan no repository. So easy for us to clear off anything, ladies and gentlemen. So in our case here, very, very useful when it comes for peer review. Before we are providing a proper analysis that this article is acceptable or not. More importantly, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that's all, Sister Atira, over to you.
Thank you so much, Professor, for such an informative talk. I'm very enlightened in many ways, and as much as I do, I'm sure if our audience have some curiosity to be unveiled on this topic, so you may type in your questions in the comment section for me to read to Dr. Hanudin. If you have some questions. Okay, since we don't have any questions, I guess this is the end of our program this year. Again, thank you, Dr. I think this topic is really important for us students, especially who are relying on journal articles a lot for our assignments. I think by giving these details on reviewing journals, it really helps us to identify a good journal articles for our assignments. With that said, thank you for joining us, and I hope students especially to take note on what Dr. Hanudin just conveyed, and I hope we can apply it in our assignments. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera semua. Boleh kita bergambar sama-sama? Dr. Hanudin, boleh buka mas?
Oke, bukan ya. Oke, buka masuk.
Sekejap ya. Sesiapa yang belum install virtual background boleh berbuat demikianlah. Okey, dalam kiraan 1, 2, 3. Lagi sekali. Okey, lagi sekali. 1, 2, 3, senyum. Terima kasih semua. Terima kasih doktor.
Ya, terima
Terima kasih
kasih.
Atira.